All right, welcome back, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you to you beautiful people um, for which this message resonates with you. You are kind and good people. You are people that feel identical to the way I do. Kind, intelligent, caring, and justice based, seeking a deeper fundamental truth than the superficiality we're seeking substance over form. All right. So, okay. So to begin, today we're going to be talking about human connection. I did record a video before this, so it's going to be a 2-for-1 for today. We'll see about tomorrow. I'd like to start off by just saying we already know. I think Aristotle said it best when he said, "Man, by his very nature, is a social creature." Right? What did he mean by that? It's a fundamental driver of survival, obviously evolutionarily, but I even think he fundamentally understood that the world wasn't designed for us to live in our own individual worlds, alone from and separated from one another. It would be depriving us of the same oxygen or the same sustenance that feeds our bodies. Likewise, human connection feeds the soul. And if we don't have ability to be able to relate or contrast among other people around us, what the hell are we even doing here? It's for the things that we can agree upon and even for differences, and that's also okay. But I think nowadays it's especially true. People are wanting to feel grounded and calm and peaceful in the moment and have truth elucidated on in such a form that resonates and grounds them in spirit in a way that's meditative, a la, Alan Watts or say Bob Ross, both I highly recommend. Bob Ross is like a natural antidepressant, and Alan Watts's, talks are hit truth at the core. Bring Eastern philosophies to the Western world. All right, so on human connection, I just want to say one other thing to preface. So per the, just it being a very basic need, human need, connection, it being like oxygen. One of my favorite composers of all time is Nobuo Uematsu. You may not know that unless you're from my generation, played video games and that kind of stuff. You wouldn't believe the kind of music that exists in that form. It may not sound interesting at all to you, but there are a lot of music theorists and whatnot that have looked at the compositions of video game music and been like, holy crap, this is like, movie grade or even better. It's elevated. Anyways, similar thing happens with music, right? I didn't realize this, but apparently not everyone gets chills when, they have either music by, tonality and composition or by lyrics alone can send chills, give you goosebumps. Apparently that doesn't happen with everyone. Um, I'm not sure if that's just if you're a sensitive, highly sensitive person, if you're neurodivergent, you know, typically both populations, and with chosen people are often misunderstood because they're ahead of their time, right? So don't ever confuse that rejection as having to do directly with you. When people can't place you in a box and when people can't control you, it scares them, right? Especially if you approach with authenticity and other people are approaching encounters with insecurity. That's what it means to be a light worker. That means what it means to be a chosen one. I don't think it's an accident that God puts us in those places. All right, so about human connection. Anyways, so I just wanted to say real quick, Nobuo Uematsu said, music gives the player oxygen in that world to breathe. I think human connection does the same thing. So human connection. When it comes down to it, in reality, we want to find our soul tribe. I think in today's performative and performant world, it can come across as people trying to sell a product, right? Sell a philosophy, put it behind a paywall. Why the hell are we doing this? Why don't we just open source this shit? Okay. If the ideas are popular enough, they sell themselves, and you don't even need to sell them. We're wanting to be grounded in very uncertain times right now. Something that I noticed. So this was, I think, in October last year, November. I meet up with a local French meetup group called the French Connection. I've been studying French for the past 4 years. Lived in the United States my entire life, but I am at some point maybe considering moving to France, if that's a possibility. Sometimes changing your environment can make a huge difference. And on that topic, when you spend a lot of time alone, and like I said, technology is supposed to be this driver to connect us. And originally, I think in the early days of YouTube, it really did. Today's YouTube has been so heavily monetized and corporatized that we just aren't having the same organic connections anymore. Everything feels so surreal and so synthetic and artificial. Am I right? Because of that, we can't form organic connections. I know for me, as I've said in other videos, we're ultimately seeking truth. And I know that we all have different flavors of what we experience, but really at the core system level, there are repeat themes that show up time and time again among humans. Emotions, fear, shame, guilt. I should be doing more, or in the ways that we punish ourselves, in ways that we feel like we're not enough. And then we also, like I said before, we tend to isolate from one another when we are going through stress and trauma. Why? Because society has told us, right? Trained us. We were not like this like children, right? I mean, we got cues from our parents like, shut the hell up. You know what I mean? But we understand that that was because of social norms. That was because of conformity. Authenticity and coming here to experience is what this has been about all along. It's been about the journey, right? Not about bringing from point A to point B. And besides that, by the time we get to state function of just focusing on point A and point B, get to point B, we won't be happy then, and we'll then be focusing on C. I think as humans, it's really important that we understand that. So that's where using your voice and your truth and finding your tribe. And hopefully you found your tribe here with this channel. I really, truly hope that's the case. I know I've been looking for it. I know there's a natural leader that I've been from a young age. I had some pretty traumatic things happen to me in high school between 9/11, and it's just a whole regular loss of innocence story. But, I had a lot of friends growing up. I was a huge socialite. I mean, I had my calendar booked out for months, hanging out with a bunch of people. I had like 20, 30 friends. And then come high school, you see people develop identity and, stab you in the back and all that crap. And it broke me. It broke me at that time. And I definitely went into hermit mode. And I really leaned into video games to survive it. It was better than drugs. It was better than, other choices I could have made. That would have been a lot less healthy. And it also gave me the opportunity to, at the time, since there was a fan site I was making for a specific Korean MMO RPG game, at the time, it became a very popular fan site. And so with that, I got to really learn not just web design, which I started in late 90s, 97, 98, looking at HTML source codes, but actually learned scripting and databases and all that kind of stuff. And then it finally finished out at the end of high school from where I started as a freshman, pretty insecure, to when I ended with a senior, very strong, winning first place in a web design contest, So basically what I'm just trying to say is I know how to create community. I've done it before. I think where confusion surrounds a lot of this for me, fundamentally, is about understanding And it was the question that I've been asking that I had hesitation approaching all this with is like, why am I so important? Yeah, I've had some bad stuff happen and that might be inspirational for people, but why does my message matter so much? Because you know what? We're all mirrors to each other. And if we at least can be honest, that's going to resonate. It's not guaranteed it'll resonate with everyone. You have to be a deep, philosophical, existential kind of person to probably appreciate a channel like this. You have to be a person that's seeking sustenance to feed your soul. So anyways, with that French meetup, back to that real quick, we met at a park to play pétanque. It's like iron foot or something in French. I don't know if that's the actual translation or if that's just more what the game is described as, but it was basically developed by, a guy that was disabled, that couldn't walk very well. And you basically throw this really, heavy boule, this metal ball, backhand or you can do it either way. And you can do trick shots and everything like that. So anyways, I really took time and, focused on community and connecting, taking the risk and reaching out. And it's not a guarantee that you're going to be accepted. And if you're rejected, that just means you haven't found your people yet. You don't have to say to yourself, that was a mistake and I'm never going to reach out again. That would be such a missed opportunity if you choose to believe that. So it kind of goes to you. I now take it to you, asking you that question. What do you think you can offer? Well, I'll say thus far in my comment section, it's been fucking on fire. You guys are awesome. I'm glad that what I'm talking about is really speaking and resonating with you deeply. I know there are a lot of good people out there still in this world. And it seems like we live in an age where the good voices are cast down and silenced. And there's just this kind of shadow, I might even call it evilness, just permeating the air. I get people get pissed off, and I understand the phrase hurt people, but not every hurt person chooses to hurt people. I know I've experienced darkness. I've transmuted that. I still have darkness in my heart. I could weaponize it, but I choose not to. I know that how the human condition has affected me when people act in malicious, malintent ways that are not real to reality. I also know when you operate in silence and you observe, you let people spell everything out. You don't have to put all your cards out on the table. Not that you need to be playing poker with everyone, right? But if you're the kind of person that can sense things, 10 steps before they have them, chances are you're probably a chosen one. Chances are you're a highly perceptive, highly sensitive person, probably a little neurodivergent, and you have the capability of discernment. You need to trust yourself more, trust the process more, and lean into it so we can help elevate and support one another in a time that requires peace and grounding, if you know what I mean. And that's what I hope to bring with this channel is, aspects that are a bit meta, from spirituality to science to, irreducibility between the two fundamental truths. And I'm open to your feedback. If there are aspects you think that I don't get right, or if you want to open a conversation, by all means, just post in the comment section. And thus far, thank you for all your wonderful feedback, my friends. Much love to you. Much peace and love to you. It means the world to me that this is making a difference. That's what this is all about. It's making a difference. All right. With that, I will catch you in the next one. Peace and love. Bye for now.